Hey lovelies! As you guys know, all month long, I am sharing easy ideas to help you get your eating back on the right track. And today I've got 3 awesome low-carb breakfast recipes for you. They're really simple to prepare, but super, super tasty. And if you are living that low-carb life, like I know a lot of you are, they are perfect for you. Keep in mind, all 3 of these tasty recipes are being featured on healthymealplans.com, and that all month long, we are offering 25% off all of our specialty meal plans, including our amazing low carb meal plan, which is 4 weeks of breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner suggestions. These are totally customizable and super, super easy to swap around depending on your taste. If you're looking for more details, you can check the description box. And now, without further ado, let's get to today's first recipe, these amazing ham and egg cups. They're so simple to prepare, but they're really, really tasty thanks to some salty ham and some nice shredded cheddar cheese. Now I'm gonna get started by cracking some eggs. I'm doing this right into my measuring cup. And I'm using about 6 eggs because I'm going to be making 6 little cups. You could double this recipe easily and make a dozen if you're cooking for the whole family, totally up to you. Next, we're gonna go ahead and add just a splash of milk. Now, if you wanna keep these dairy-free, you could definitely use a plant-based milk here. Or if you want to make these a little richer, you could go ahead and use some cream. I usually use whole milk in this recipe, but of course, it's definitely up to you. For seasoning, I'm keeping things simple with just a little sprinkle of garlic powder. I'm gonna get some of that in here. And then some salt and pepper. We're just going to use our whisk to get this all nicely mixed up, and then we can get to work on preparing our muffin tin. Our next step is going to be lining our muffin tin with our ham. So I've got my muffin tin nicely greased, and I'm using some sliced deli ham here. Obviously, you wanna make sure it's not shaved. It's gotta be sliced at least maybe say 1 millimeter or 2. And all I'm going to do is fold it into my muffin cup like so. Now, you could always do this with some oven roasted chicken or turkey if you wanted to instead, but I will tell you, the ham tends to really crisp up around the edges, which is why I think it works so well in this recipe. The next step is just simply pouring our egg mixture into each of our egg cups, and then I'm going to top each with a little sprinkle of grated cheddar cheese. Into the oven these go at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for between, say, 12 and 14 minutes. You just wanna make sure that your eggs are completely set. When they come out of the oven, you'll see they're really, really puffy and mounded. They will deflate a little bit once they've cooled down. And at that point, I just like to finish them off with some chopped fresh chives. And oh my gosh, guys, these are super delicious. What I love about them is that they can totally be made in advance, so you can prep them during your Sunday meal prep and enjoy them for 2 or 3 days. How great is that? Now, for you pancake lovers out there, I have a really yummy treat for you. These are actually low-carb pancakes, and they're made with almond flour instead of traditional flour, so they also pack a bit of extra protein. What is not to love? Now, I always recommend when you are buying almond flour to look for the almond flour that is super fine. It just has a much nicer texture and works really well in things like baked goods and pancakes. Now, to get our almond flour prepared, we wanna add a little bit of lift so we get some volume in our pancakes and they end up being nice and fluffy. I'm going to do that with just a little bit of baking powder. You wanna make sure you mix your baking powder into your almond flour before you mix it into your egg mixture. This is just gonna help make sure that those pancakes have even lift throughout. Now, for my wet ingredients, I've got some eggs in my bowl, and to that, I'm going to add a good splash of milk, as well as a little splash of vanilla extract for some additional flavor. I'll whisk that up until it's nice and well mixed. And then I'm going to combine my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. And once they're stirred together, I like to let this batter sit for about 10 minutes. I know it seems a little strange, but you'll find that your batter thickens up a little bit and makes the perfect consistency for pancakes. Now, to cook my pancakes, I have got a skillet heating up over medium heat. You never wanna cook your pancakes on high heat. Bad things happen. Low and slow is better here. And I'm just going to add a little bit of my batter into the center of my pan. Yes, guys, I prefer to make my pancakes 1 at a time because I find you get the most consistent results that way. Of course, you could do 2 or 3 at a time if you want to, but if you want your pancakes to be really perfect, 1 at a time is key. We'll cook our pancake for about 3 to 4 minutes on the first side until you start to see bubbles form around the edges. That means it's time to flip. The great news is once it's flipped over, it only takes another 30 seconds to minute or so before it is ready to be transferred to a plate and you can get to work on making the rest of your pancakes. If you're making a nice big batch of these pancakes, I always recommend keeping the made ones in the oven so they stay warm while you're cooking the rest. Now, when it comes to topping these pancakes, if you're trying to keep things low carb, you're probably going to skip the traditional maple syrup unless you can find a good sort of zero sugar alternative, which I think exists, but I actually have never tried. I personally like to enjoy these with a little pat of butter and just a drizzle of agave syrup. But if you want to skip the sweetener entirely, you could always opt for spreading some nut butter on top instead. Guys, you will not believe how legit the texture of these is. Pancake perfection. For my final recipe today, guys, I am mixing up an incredible turkey sausage breakfast skillet. Now, for this recipe, I am using some turkey sausage. It's been removed from its casing. You could also do this with pork sausage if you wanted to, definitely up to you. Or you could do this with some ground turkey if that's easier. Lots of great options, but I love the flavor of the breakfast sausage, so that's what we're using here. I'm just going to get a little bit of oil heated up in my skillet, and then I'm going to be cooking my turkey. So this is my turkey sausage. It's been removed from its casing, and we're just going to cook it up until it is no longer pink. As soon as my sausage is cooked, I'm gonna go ahead and add my veggies to the skillet. So I've got some onion here, as well as some orange and red bell pepper headed in. I wanna let those cook away for maybe 3 to 4 minutes. I really wanna give that bell pepper a chance to soften up a little bit and get super delicious. Once that's nice and soft, it's time to add some seasoning to this. I'm using a little bit of smoked paprika and some garlic powder here, and I'm just going to cook that for another 30 seconds or so until those spices reach their maximum flavor potential. Now it's time to add my eggs to this. So what I like to do is actually scramble my eggs in the very same skillet. To do that, I'm just going to use my spoon to move my sausage mixture over to one half of my skillet, and then I'm going to pour some beaten eggs into the other half of my skillet. The best part is because our skillet is nice and hot, our eggs are going to scramble up in no time. You wanna just make sure you keep them moving with your spoon so they don't stick to the bottom of the pan. As soon as they're scrambled, you can mix them into that turkey mixture. The final step here is just to turn the heat off on your skillet and top it with some shredded cheddar cheese. Now, because that's nice and hot, your cheese is going to melt immediately, and this yumminess can be devoured just as it is. I actually like finishing it off with some chopped tomato, a little bit of avocado, and just a sprinkle of red onion for good measure. And what you have is one of the most beautiful, colorful, flavorful, delicious breakfasts that you can imagine. And it actually comes together in 15 minutes or less. It's a total crowd pleaser, so I guarantee everyone in your household is going to love it. I really hope you'll give all 3 of today's yummy recipes a try, guys. And if you do, be sure to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo, because you know how much I love seeing your kitchen creations. Remember that our 4-week low-carb meal plan is available for 25% off all month long over on healthymealplans.com. I hope you will check it out. And finally, if you haven't already, guys, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.